Coming up on Arirang News. South Korea plans to create the world's largest chip cluster in the country by 2047, with Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix investing hundreds of billions of dollars as part of the efforts. President Yoon vows to extend tax incentives. North Korea claims it has successfully launched a solid-fuel hypersonic missile, the first ever test of its kind by Pyongyang. Experts warn it's a threat not only to South Korea, but also to the U.S. The Israel-Hamas war continues unabated, claiming thousands of innocent lives as it marks the grim 100-day milestone. Tensions continue to escalate in the Red Sea, with the U.S. shooting down a missile launched at one of its vessels by Iran-backed Houthi rebels.
Good evening. It's 9 p.m. here in Seoul. Thank you for joining us on Arirang News. We begin with South Korea's plan to build the world's largest chip cluster. It's to be established in Gyeonggi-do province by 2047, backed by the country's leading chip makers, pledging hundreds of billions of dollars in investments. President Yoon calls for support across the board to get this mega cluster up and running. Our top office correspondent, Woo Soo-young, starts us off.
South Korea is betting on semiconductors to provide at least 3 million quality jobs by fostering the world's largest chip cluster by 2047. That's according to a policy briefing by the Ministers of Industry and Science to President Yoon, who has been opening up a 10-part series of government reports to members of the public. With the third such session spotlighting semiconductors as the country's leading export item, the government pledged to back corporate-led efforts to foster a cutting-edge mega chip cluster in Gyeonggi-do province, home to Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix. The two global chip giants will invest over $472 billion as part of national efforts to add more foundries and memory chip plants across the 21-square-meter belt. The government plans to increase tax waivers for investment in chip facilities by up to 25%, as well as create research centers with leading academic institutions and nurture 150,000 professionals in the field.
Semiconductors translate to people's livelihoods. Once completed, a total of 37 fabs will give a major boost to the economy. The industry will create 3.46 million quality jobs, $492 billion in production, and $154 billion in extra sales for affiliated firms.
Upon completion, the cluster would boast a monthly production capacity of some 7.7 million wafers, the largest in the world. According to the government, semiconductors have been South Korea's #1 export item for 11 straight years and make up around 10% of the trade-dependent country's gross domestic product. The president on Monday said building a chip ecosystem would enrich people's livelihoods and also determine the country's economic security going forward.
우리가 평소에 그걸 잘 못 느낄 수 있어요. 이게 반도체 공장이 만들어지면서 거기에 따른 이런 생태계가 조성이 되고 전후방 이런 동반 투자 효과가 생겨서 우리에게 이런 일자리가 생기는 건지 못 느끼는 경우가 많이 있습니다만은 반도체라는 것은 그만큼 우리 일반 국민들, 중산층, 서민들의 민생에 엄청난 영향을 주는 산업이라는 것을 우리가 잘 알아야 될 것 같습니다. 그러다 보니까 지금 선진국들은 이런 반도체 메가 클러스터를 구축하기 위해서 아주 치열한 전쟁을 벌이고 있습니다.
To become a first mover in cutting-edge chip technology, Yoon called for all-out support, including sufficient electricity from nuclear energy to power the cluster. Large-scale fabrication plants in Yongin City alone are expected to require 10 gigawatts of electricity, equivalent to a quarter of the amount consumed in the Seoul capital area. The president also stressed the need for tax incentives, a wider pool of chip professionals, and collaborations with major chip producers in the global supply chain, referring to the administration's supply chain dialogue forged with the United States and Japan last year, as well as a semiconductor alliance with the Netherlands, the world's largest supplier of lithography machines. With the chip cluster up and running, the country aims to increase domestic production of key parts and equipment to 50% by 2030. Woo Soo-young, Arirang News.
And now, with the plan for semiconductor megacluster unveiled, our Soo-jin explains its significance and what else needs to be done amid heated global race for chips.
South Korea is gearing up to become #1 in the global semiconductor industry. The world's largest chip production base, located in southern Gyeonggi-do province, will bring together chip equipment manufacturers, fabless chip producers, and R&D labs. By 2047, the mega cluster will have 13 chip production plants and 3 research facilities through investment amounting to 622 trillion won, or around $470 billion from private companies such as Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix. By 2030, the aim is to produce 7.7 million wafers, the base material for the chip manufacturing process, per month. And production of cutting-edge memory semiconductor technologies such as high-bandwidth memory and sub-2 nanometer processor chips will also be possible at this base. What benefits can this singular large manufacturing base bring?
The government is trying to stabilize the semiconductor ecosystem, and this is a strategy to become #1 in both the memory and non-memory sectors before other advanced nations.
South Korea, a major player in the global memory chip maker sector, has been trying for years to expand its presence in the non-memory sector, as it makes up a significant portion of the semiconductor market. The same experts said that becoming a forerunner in the non-memory sector will ultimately help stabilize the nation's semiconductor supply chain, also boosting the nation's overall economy, as chips are South Korea's largest export item. But there are a lot of things to do until the mega cluster is up and running.
It's important to create a comprehensive solution where we don't just focus on attracting not just international firms, but also domestic small and medium-sized enterprises, especially those in the chip material, parts, and equipment sector.
The expert added that SMEs in the chip industry are also capable of providing the necessary infrastructure and expertise. Soo-jin, Arirang News.
Moving on, one of South Korea's biggest holidays, the Lunar New Year, known in Korean as Seollal, is coming up next month. Ahead of that, the government announces measures to support those financially strapped, from extension on electricity bills to discounts on food prices. Our Moon Hae-ryun has details.
As part of efforts to support people's livelihoods this year, South Korea will be extending its electricity rate freeze for vulnerable groups. This, along with other measures, was discussed during a meeting of senior officials from the government, the presidential office, and the ruling People Power Party on Sunday. Around 3.65 million households will be eligible for the extension of the year-long rate hike freeze, which was implemented after the government raised electricity prices last May. Next month, around 400,000 small business owners and self-employed workers will be able to enjoy reduced interest on loans from non-bank financial institutions. This means that they can save up to 1.5 million Korean won, or more than $1,000 on interest payments. With these measures coming just ahead of the Lunar New Year, which falls on February 10th this year for South Korea, the government will also be creating a new fund of just under $30 billion to support SMEs during the holidays. Another group that will be given additional support over the holiday period will be stall owners at traditional markets, with the total value of coupons issued that can be spent at stalls this year raised from 4 trillion won to 5 trillion won, or around $3.8 billion. But it's not just businesses that the government is supporting. People can buy train tickets for KTX and SRT trains at a discounted price for travel between February 9th and 12th. There'll also be a highway toll exemption during the same period. Prices of 16 food items that are typically used during memorial services during the Lunar New Year, such as apples and mackerel, will have bigger discounts. And as fruit prices have been climbing in South Korea, the government will be exempting trade tariffs for more types of fruit in order to import 300,000 tons of fruit and ensure the average price of products related to the holiday is lower than last year. In the meeting, the ruling party also spoke of the need for concrete measures to ease the burden of college tuition fees for students. Moon Hae-ryun, Arirang News.
Shifting gears, North Korea is claiming that it test-fired a solid-fueled hypersonic missile on Sunday. Our North Korean affairs correspondent Kim Jong-sil explains why it's a threat not only to South Korea, but also to the U.S.
Experts in South Korea are warning that North Korea's solid-fueled hypersonic IRBM test on Sunday was a direct threat to not only South Korea but also the U.S. and other countries in the region.
The development of a hypersonic missile is aimed at targeting areas where North Korea cannot penetrate the defense network. The main targets will be U.S. military bases within a range of about 1,000 to 3,000 kilometers.
Another thing to pay attention to, according to Korea Defense and Security Forum senior researcher Shin Jong-woo, is that Pyongyang used a solid-fueled engine for its IRBM.
South Korea has something called kill chain system that aims to preemptively strike North Korea if it shows signs of launching a missile. But North Korea is transitioning from liquid-fueled to solid-fueled engines so that it can launch missiles quickly without them being detected.
On Monday, the South Korean military announced that the missile flew about 1,000 kilometers before falling into the East Sea. It added that it's in close communication with the U.S. and Japan after the three countries began sharing real-time information on North Korean missile launches beginning in December. As to the motivation behind the launch, one could be Pyongyang's desire to bolster its military presence in the region.
North Korea are showing that their brand new weapon systems are not just for show, but in fact they are operationally capable, and therefore they are real threats to South Korea and the United States and other countries in the region.
Another expert, Professor Park Won-gon of Ewha Women's University, also said that North Korea's ultimate goal in conducting these types of tests is to be acknowledged by the U.S. as a nuclear state. Kim Jong-sil, Arirang News.
Russia is moving to step up ties with North Korea. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said on Monday that Russia intends to further develop its partnership with North Korea, whom he called Russia's closest neighbor and partner in all areas. North Korea's Foreign Minister Choi Sun-hee arrived in Moscow for an official visit that's scheduled to last until Wednesday. Choi, who will be meeting with her Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov on Tuesday, may also meet with President Vladimir Putin. The spokesperson also added that Russia hopes that Putin's visit to North Korea will take place soon. And over in the Middle East, it's been 100 days since the start of the Israel-Hamas war, and there are growing calls for a ceasefire to stop the loss of innocent lives. Tensions remain high in the Red Sea, with the U.S. shooting down another missile launched by Houthi rebels from Yemen. Our Choi Soo-hyung has the latest.
On Sunday, the United States military shot down a missile by the Iran-backed Houthis rebels in Yemen. The U.S. Central Command said the missile was launched from Houthis-controlled area of Yemen toward the USS Laboon, which was conducting operations in the southern Red Sea. The Central Command stated that the missile was shot down near the coastal town of Hodeidah by a U.S. fighter aircraft. They added no damage or injuries were reported yet. While Iran continues to deny its involvement in attacks by the Houthis in the Red Sea, Tehran is allegedly supplying them with weapons. President Joe Biden delivered a private message to Iran on Saturday, saying that the U.S. was well prepared. Earlier, both the U.S. and the U.K. attacked the Houthis rebels' main base in Yemen in retaliation for their constant attacks on cargo ships in the Red Sea. The Houthis have attacked at least 26 vessels since November, and since then, traffic through the Suez Canal to the Red Sea has dropped by more than 40%. Meanwhile, thousands of people gathered on the 100th day of the conflict, demanding a ceasefire in Gaza. In Portugal's capital Lisbon on Sunday, protesters marched near the U.S. Embassy, chanting for an end to the war.
I can only wish for Israel to be convicted as a genocidal state, that the International Court may decide in favor of South Africa and against Israel, that the war stops, and that Palestine can exist as a state on the Palestinian territories.
In Paris, hundreds of people marched in the center of the French capital, calling for the release of the 136 remaining hostages held by Hamas since the start of the war. Also in Tel Aviv on Saturday night, thousands of people, including families of those killed or kidnapped, commemorated the day of October 7th when Hamas murdered more than 1,200 Israelis and kidnapped 240. According to Gaza's health ministry, 23,938 Palestinians have been killed. Some 60,582 have been wounded so far by the subsequent attacks by Israel against Hamas. The ministry said roughly 70% of the dead were women and children, while nearly 8,000 people are missing, presumed dead under the debris of destroyed buildings. Choi Soo-hyung, Arirang News.
With the high-stakes election over in Taiwan, President-elect Lai Ching-te hailed the U.S. support as he met on Monday a delegation from Washington. Our Chung Eun-ju has the latest.
Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen and President-elect William Lai Ching-te have hailed the support of the United States for the self-ruled island in meetings with an unofficial delegation from Washington. The delegation, including retired U.S. officials, arrived in Taiwan on Sunday. A former senior official told the Taiwanese president on Monday that the U.S. looks forward to continuity in the Taiwan-U.S. relationship under the new administration and that its commitment to the island was rock solid. President-elect Lai Ching-te told the visiting delegation that he hoped the United States would continue to support Taiwan. Lai Ching-te, currently the vice president, won Saturday's presidential election, securing an unprecedented third term for the ruling Democratic Progressive Party and defeating his China-friendly rival from the main opposition party. The president-elect will take office on May 20th. Lai had repeatedly said during his presidential campaign that he wanted to keep the status quo with China, which claims Taiwan as its own, and offered to talk to Beijing. He also said his administration will continue to defend peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait. Taiwan's government rejects Beijing's sovereignty claims. China has criticized several countries for congratulating Lai on his election victory, saying they should not interfere in China's affairs. Taiwan's government says Beijing has no right to speak for the island's people or represent them on the world stage. Chung Eun-ju, Arirang News.
For South Korea's full-time salaried workers, January is usually the time when taxes are filed for the previous year. The National Tax Service is now offering a simplified service starting Monday that provides the information needed for the year 2023. What's new is that there'll be more data on tax deductions, including movie tickets and fees paid when applying for college. Taxpayers could save more money this time because the deduction rate for public transport costs paid with a credit card will be expanded from 40% to 80%. Information can be found by logging into the NTS website at hometex.go.kr. On the cultural front, South Korea-born American actor Steven Yeun has added another trophy to his collection at this year's U.S. Critics' Choice Awards after winning Best Actor at the Golden Globes last week. Yeun was named Best Actor in a limited series or movie made for television for his role in Beef at the awards ceremony held on Sunday local time in Los Angeles. The Netflix original production picked up 3 more trophies: Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress, and Best Limited Series. The winners were chosen by the Critics' Choice Association, made up of broadcast, radio, and online critics and entertainment journalists in the U.S. and Canada. And this year's Consumer Electronics Show over in Las Vegas came to a close, with companies not simply showcasing their products, but also seeking synergy with corporate partners. Our business correspondent Shin Ha-young reports.
World-renowned tech show CES 2024 came to a close on Friday in Las Vegas after showcasing a diverse array of technology driven by AI for daily use. According to the Consumer Technology Association, over the course of the week, some 4,300 exhibitors and 135,000 attendees came together for major announcements, product launches, and the opportunity to collaborate. As anticipated with the theme Altogether All On, this year's CES featured AI technology from across a variety of industries. As if to underscore this year's theme, among the keynote speakers was America's biggest retailer, Walmart, participating in CES for the first time, where it described how the integration of AI across its website will be used to study shopper behavior. French cosmetics giant L'Oreal also took the stage, marking the first ever keynote at CES by a beauty company.
We believe that tech can push the boundaries of what's possible, help us improve the lives of consumers around the world, and cater to the infinite diversity of beauty needs and aspirations of every individual.
CES 2024 served not only as a venue for exhibitors to showcase their cutting-edge technologies, but also as a place for collaboration between industries. Germany's automation company Siemens teamed up with Sony to launch a new mixed reality headset equipped with AI this year. Walmart unveiled a generative AI search tool that enables shoppers to search for products by specific use cases instead of one item at a time by combining Microsoft's AI models with its shopper data. Collaboration was easily observed by South Korean firms as well. Samsung Electronics and Hyundai Motor Group have partnered to integrate their platforms to connect living spaces and mobility. It allows users to control things, including starting their car from inside the house or turning off home appliances from the car. Like last year, human security was a key future agenda, indicating that the advancement of technologies represented by AI should be used to solve crises facing humanity. South Korean tech giants LG Electronics and Samsung Electronics have identified security as the foremost task in the AI era, emphasizing the need for strong security against potential threats. CES returns to Las Vegas for 4 days starting on January 7th next year. 신하영, 아리랑 뉴스.
Today was a quiet sunny day, but the temperatures had dropped after the rain and snow from the weekend. The cold wave advisory was raised to a warning in mountainous and northern areas of Gangwon-do province, including Yeoncheon, where frigid temperatures are expected to be around minus 13 degrees Celsius tomorrow. This cold wave will gradually ease off from tomorrow afternoon, and there will be no severe cold for the rest of the week. The atmosphere is under very dry conditions around eastern regions. Thus, dry weather warnings have been expanded around the East Coast. As gusty winds are strongly blowing all over the country, please pay more attention to the risk of wildfires. Most areas will have sunny skies tomorrow morning. However, Chuncheon will be especially cold at minus 10 degrees. Daytime conditions will get much warmer. Seoul and Chuncheon will get up to 4 degrees, Busan 10 degrees Celsius. Another round of rain or snow is waiting in Yeongdong and southern regions in the second half of the week. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world. Well, that is all for this newscast tonight. Thank you for watching. We'll be back at 10 p.m. with the AI headline news. Hope everyone has a good start of the week.